Hello, everyone. Some of you have asked me what exactly karma breaking is. And first, before we actually look at this topic, which I think I already tackled this a couple of times, at least I distinctly remember that I do have videos out there, especially when I compared Astraea and Aries, which one I'm going to talk about on this occasion as well, but maybe, just maybe, it is better to revisit the topic. So let's take a look at the word karma first. And this is not a Buddhist view. So it has got nothing to do with Buddhism or Shintoism or any Eastern philosophy. It is how we karmic astrologers look at the topic karma. And karma comes not from the Sanskrit word. It is actually a Hungarian word, and it means an animal's paws that are keeping you intact and not allowing you to move. And actually, that's exactly what it is. Karma is always the past, something that already happened to you and became important. And it's not just bad karma, it's also good karma that can prevent you from moving on, from actually stepping into another position or leaving behind something that is stalled and really not very bright with future potentials. If you simply think that this is what I know, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to live my life, it's usually because it's a past life experience that was easy for you to actually continue, and it also prevents you from any kind of progress. And we do need change, because actually change is a vehicle for the universe to keep evolving, and that's it. That's why the universe asks us to be conscious, to be not conscientious, simply to pay attention to what we are doing, to raise our consciousness. Maybe that's the expression to use. And here comes karma breaking into the picture. It simply means that you realize what's bad in your life. You realize what is completely stalled, not moving, not evolving, and you compare it to something that happened to you in the past. And let me tell you something, it really doesn't matter whether it's past life or this life experience, because usually karma has a tendency to repeat itself. So even if you don't believe in past lives, actually you will repeat stuff from your old previous lives in this lifetime, and so it becomes something inherent in you. And unless you realize it and move on, it's going to stop you from evolving. My master Judy Hall used to say that even if you think you can't do anything, there is the karma of grace. You can ask for grace. You can say, I don't know what to do. I can't continue like this. I'm not enough strong or clever or intelligent or learned or brave to continue like this. Please help me. And that's what we need to do. And of course, the karma breaking and destiny changing celestial objects are of great help. And this year, one of the main astrological features of this year is a karma breaking potential. So let's take a look at the Vesta Astraea conjunction, which is going to be there for most part of the year. So let's take them in installments. On January 1st, we had Vesta at Pisces 14 degrees, and Astraea at Pisces 18 degrees. So they were 4 degrees apart. This is already a conjunction. You may remember that in the January 1st chart, we had a Juno-Neptune conjunction as well, but we are not going to pay attention. I left Neptune here because you will see that months later, they actually crossed over Neptune and overtook it. Here is the February 1st placement. you can see that by then Vesta was at 27 degrees Pisces and Astraea 28 degrees Pisces. So there was 1 degree between them, and they crossed over Neptune a couple of days earlier. The orbital period for any object in the main asteroid belt is about 4.5 years. This means that approximately they cover a distance of 15 minutes per day. This is 1/4 of a degree. So that's the average travel, but they could be moving faster, and of course they could be moving slower. I will show you examples for both. And Astraea was conjunct Sheat, and Sheat is Beta Pegasus, is one of the main healing words for suicide victims. Actually, it is the healing word for fresh suicide victims, because when the soul realizes that it actually destroyed the vehicle that had carried it in this life, it is really a big shock. It's a huge something which needs to be healed immediately. So these souls are ushered to Sheat and given a very thorough healing, because it's a huge trauma. It's one of the biggest traumas that you can actually have. And on February the 8th, so we are 7 days later, you have Vesta at 0 degrees Aries and Astraea at 0 degrees 30 minutes Aries. 2 days earlier, Astraea moved into Aries, and then on the 8th, Vesta was also following it. And I made a video on this because it's called, of course, the Vesta-Astraea conjunction at the vernal equinox, because the vernal equinox is the starting point. It usually, whenever you want to see a cycle, you can start at any point, really. Let's say you could say that I'm interested in my lunar phase cycle. Then you set out either at the new moon phase or at the phase at birth. You can say that I'm interested in my Saturn cycle, and then you can take it from your natal position and see that by 29.5 years you will have completed it, and you can see the posts. But any other mundane cycle is quite nice to see what happens when any of the planets are at the Aries point, at 0.0 Aries, the vernal equinox point. And it's still, these two are still aligned with Sheat. It's not really conjunct because Pegasus is a northern constellation. It's not on the ecliptic. You can't actually have a conjunction with fixed stars unless they are on the ecliptic. And this is not, so we say aligned instead of conjunct. And by February 13th, this is when you have the exact conjunction. So 1 day before Valentine's Day, you had Vesta and Astraea at 2 degrees 20 at exact conjunction. And let's take it further. This conjunction will remain within 1 degree until March the 1st. After that, it's going to be still tight, but and very important that since January and even before, up till probably November, I have it here so you will see it, they move direct. They have a direct motion, and so then there are no retrograde periods. So actually they will cover a long distance, 3 signs actually. They move from Aries to Cancer. So they are going to square this position by, I think, July. Let's take a look at what's happening in March. March 10th, you have Vesta at 13 degrees 31 Aries and at Astraea at 12 degrees. So there's a 1.5 degree orb between the conjunction, and Astraea is conjunct Alderamin, and Vesta is conjunct Alpheratz. Alpheratz is the second healing world for suicide victims. It is Alpha Andromeda or Beta Andromeda, I don't know, but either or, a very bright star. And it describes, it's the second phase of the healing period. This is the world where they teach the soul to move again freely, to have a life force, to look forward to coming down to the earth plane. If you take a look at the March 10th chart, you will see that Astraea and Vesta, besides Astraea and Vesta, you have an exact Chiron-Jupiter conjunction. Chiron-Jupiter is how you can turn your karmic wounds into gold. It's a brilliant conjunction. It's usually, if you have this in your chart or in any nice aspect, trine or sextile, you are usually able to turn your wounds into gold. So you can make money out of your wounds. Let's put it this way. And by the 20th of March, which is the vernal equinox, you have a fourfold conjunction with, again, almost the same Chiron, Jupiter, Astraea, and Vesta. And out of this, you may see that there's already 2 degrees. They are 2 degrees apart. So 10 days earlier, there was only a 1.5 degree orb, and now it's 2 degrees. And by April 1st, everything is moving apart a little bit. You have a Mercury-Chiron conjunction, you have a Jupiter-Astraea conjunction, and you have an upcoming applying Vesta-Aries conjunction. Let's take this apart. Mercury-Chiron is about consciously understanding your karmic wounds. Mercury is always about understanding something rationally, talking about it, and also learning about it. So this is what's happening. The Jupiter Astraea is really father and daughter. Astraea was the daughter of Zeus. Her name meant star girl, star daughter. So here you have karma breaking around, maybe around your father, or simply just look around that you have an optimism, an enthusiasm of how to break old embedded karma. And then Vesta now is really looking at Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances. So you are going to have the 2 karma breakers in the picture. Aries is the outward karma breaker. It simply means that you have a situation and all of a sudden something is totally changing around you. War, tsunami, the terrible earthquake, which was man-made. If I say this, probably YouTube is going to ban me. If I ever get banned and you are interested in my videos, try to find me on Rumble, because then I will move into Rumble and try to rebuild the whole thing, which I have been building for 2 years. But this is what they do. They destroy you if you utter the truth, okay? So this has been a terrible, terrible, horrible thing. And I wasn't able to talk about it because every time I was thinking what happened, it hurt so much that I started to cry, and I'm unable to talk about it. So I'm trying not to. Okay. So Vesta is focusing on outward, drastically outward, changing outward circumstances. That's on April 1st. And then on the 15th, you have Vesta moving into Taurus 0 degrees. And then Astraea is at, here's where Taurus is starting. So this is, of course, the house cusp, and this is the sign cusp. And then Astraea is still at Aries 27 degrees, aligned with Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy. And this is a galaxy that you are able to see by the naked eye. It's like a little blob, a little blur. If you have binoculars, you can see it actually quite well. You need, of course, a dark night, when preferably after some cold front, when the stale air is cleared out and it's dark enough to observe it. And then here you have the Sun conjunct Aries. And of course, so there's a Jupiter Aries Sun, Astraea Vesta conjunction, really, out of which Vesta has already moved into Taurus. So there's a shift here, and the Sun Aries conjunction is highlighting those drastically altered outward circumstances. So you have the outward karma breaker Aries, and you have the inner karma breaker Astraea together. kind of sandwiched in with Jupiter, Sun, and as you can see, Chiron is well behind already. On the 22nd of April, which is 7 days later, Astraea is moving into Taurus, 0 degrees Taurus again. And here you see the Sun, Vesta, and the North Node. So it gives you a potential to focus on your own development, the Sun, and also your destiny choices, North Node. And Astraea gives you a push from the same, well, it's only 3 degrees, really, they are 3 degrees apart. So it gives you the potential to break old embedded karma. After that, for the next 2 months, these two celestial objects, Astraea and Vesta, will be still within 3-4 degrees and in direct motion. So there's still no retrograde motion at all. By June the 22nd, so this is practically the summer solstice, the day after the summer solstice, Vesta moves into 0 degrees Gemini and becomes exactly conjunct with Sedna. Sedna denotes creation through dissection. It denotes the potential to understand your own life, what is happening in your own life, what are the non-working segments, and to identify these non-working segments, throw them out and try to create something brand new and workable and usable and something that is able to operate properly from the remaining portions. That's what you can actually focus on. And this conjunction is on the Pleiades, which in karmic astrology is the home of the creator goddess. So it's a very feminine energy. And as you can see, Astraea is still at Taurus 26 degrees 20, which means that it is aligned with Algol. Be careful, this line is a house cusp. The sign cusp is right here. So that's where we are. This is here's Aries and here's Taurus. And I don't know, I forgot to take the house cusp out. It would have been easier for you to see it, but I hope you understand. And Algol is a very interesting star because it has a very bad press, so to speak. They are kind of thinking that this is as if a star could bring anything bad. No, it can't. You can misuse the energies of a star, but in itself, there's no wicked or sinful in anything in this. Algol is simply the healing word for very deep feminine karmic wounds, and the strong feminine who was broken either by the system or by the Inquisition or by the masculine is being healed in Algol and given power, empowered. So that's a very powerful position. And then on July the 7th, so it's practically 9 days later, you have Vesta at 3 degrees 39 Gemini, and Astraea is moving at 0 degrees Gemini, becoming conjunct with Sedna on the Pleiades. So it's a brilliant theme, so to speak, because 9 days earlier, you can actually focus on your non-working segments of your life. And then 9 days later, you get the feminine power of the Pleiades, the goddess power, and you can actually be here, you focus 9 days later, you can actually change and you can break the old embedded rigid karma that you haven't been able to do. So that's really a brilliant couple of days here. And in September, again, Vesta is changing signs. You can see how fast it is moving through the signs this year, really. And Astraea is trying to keep it up with it, and almost there, really, because look, on the 14th of September, Vesta is moving into Cancer, 0 degrees Cancer, and Astraea is still at 29 degrees 19 Gemini, so they are again less than a degree apart. It's a very exact potent conjunction. Astraea is still on Polaris. Both are on Polaris. No, actually, Astraea is still on Polaris, and Vesta is more on Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse. I don't know again how to pronounce this, but actually it's the alpha star of Orion, and it denotes a Actually, what Bernard Brady says about this star, that this is unlimited success that cannot be hindered by anything. So it's a very potent thing. And Polaris, the pole star, is also a dimension portal. So again, you can actually access a lot of information on this day. And then 2 days later, Vesta is already at half a degree Cancer, and Astraea has moved into Cancer on Betelgeuse. And as you can see, I told you that the approximate daily travel is 15 minutes of an arc. Yes, here Vesta clearly does this, 16 actually. But if you see Astraea, it actually does 41 minutes in 2 days, so in an average of 20 minutes. So it's actually faster than Vesta. That's why they are conjunct, because Astraea is moving faster a little bit, because Vesta is slowing down, because it is getting ready to turn first stationary and then direct. And it will happen on the 2nd of November, when Vesta is stationary at 7 degrees 30 Cancer. At that moment, the moon will be crossing over Vesta. This here is again a house cusp, so disregard it. As you can see, Astraea is at 11 degrees and Vesta is at 7.5 degrees, and the moon is crossing over at the time when it becomes still stationary. And then 4 hours later, approximately, actually almost 8 hours later, the moon will be crossing over Astraea as well, kind of connecting again the two, although you have a 4-degree orb between the conjunction of Vesta and Astraea. So here the orb is widening again. 2 weeks later, and look at this, 2 weeks later, Astraea got so slow that it actually went only 47 minutes of an arc in 14 days. So that is way, way, way less than its proper daily motion. And so is Vesta as well, because actually it only went like 1.5 degrees, but it is faster already than Astraea, because Astraea is stationary at that moment on the 16th. And you can see that they are already almost a little bit more than 5 degrees apart. So actually the gap is widening. And by the end of the year, the distance is going to be about 6-7 degrees, which means that we can't actually call it a conjunction. So this is it. Those are your karma breaking, destiny changing potentials. The whole theme is there for you to utilize up till the 2nd of November. On that day, the moon is going to join them. So it's the moon's energy that is going to join them. And I will probably look at these stations separately whenever I see something important. I will definitely look at the vernal equinox, of course, our new year, and anything that is important throughout the year. You will get your dates when to break old embedded karma. I wish you good luck with it. It requires strength, it requires attention, it requires courage and determination. And I just hope that we will all have this during the year. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.